Hello everyone and welcome back. So today's mani is on this lovely memorial mani for my sweet boy Remy, who passed away last week. He was not quite a year old. We believe he had cancer, not uncommon for rats at all. This is the picture I took of him the day that he passed, and he was clinging all day, and we knew that he was not going to last much longer, and he passed that night in my arms. And this is a tutorial as much as it is also a template for those who have lost a beloved pet or family member, more so towards pets. Not everybody has pet rats, so I don't expect you guys to have all the same materials that I do for this, but I do have, this one is expensive, might add, it is discontinued, but I do have ideas for, it has ghost cats, dogs, and things like that. There's a rabbit. So this is one of the pet cemetery plates, and I used the little ghost rat. But this is just to help give ideas for those who want to memorialize a beloved pet that they had lost. So in case you're wondering why there is blueberries. Okay, so for the blueberries, that was his favorite food aside from chicken. So I wanted to add the blueberries in honor of him because it was one of his favorite things. I used, so for the pet cemetery, that is MXM039. And I used this plate that also has lots of different animals and things like that. So there are lots of plates that have cats and dogs and stuff like that as well. But for those who don't have ones for like rabbits and stuff like that, this is a good one. This one has rabbits. There is a rat right here. This is the one I used. So I used M557 for the rat on the index here. And for the blueberries, I used MXM151. Apparently today's the day for all the scam calls. And for the framework around the rat, I used this lovely image right here from M564. And then the true showcase of this for memorializing, I used Maniology's M368. And I used this lovely image here and the Forever in Our Hearts right here. So this is a great one to memorialize pets or loved ones and things like that. I didn't like these two because rat paws look very different from like cat and dogs, and these are more like cat and dogs. So I used this one and this one instead. But there are lots of amazing images here to use for memorializing a beloved pet that was lost. Good grief. Okay, like I said, today's apparently the day. That's probably the 20th call. So I used this beautiful blue that I believe was in the Mermaid collection from Beetles. And I used 2 coats of it. For the base color, I used Beetles top coat, no wipe. I used Born Pretty's pearlescent chrome powder. I used a white carve gel. I got that on Amazon. I used Beetle's rhinestone glue to adhere the angel wings. I used this lovely angel wing mold that I found on Amazon. It was a 3-pack. I don't know if you guys would be able to find one as singular, but it was like 10 bucks, I want to say, for a 3-pack of the exact same mold. So if I ever have any problems where one gets messed up, at least I'll have backups. I really just wanted a singular one, but like I said, it gave me a 3-pack of the mold, so. And I also used these lovely star sequins, nail sequins. I got this on Amazon, and I used the yellow rhinestones, and this lovely pack of rhinestones also came from Amazon. Okay, so you'll need your typical stamping supplies, your stamper, scraper, cotton balls / cotton pads, acetone, sticky stamping station, lint roller, whatever is your preference, your stampers, and other things that you'll need is cleanup brush, a liner brush for reverse stamping. You're probably going to want some kind of tool for picking up your rhinestones and sequins. I use this rhinestone picker that I got on Amazon. Some people like to use the crystal katana. That's way more expensive. This works just fine. I also have a silicone applicator, pointed one, for the powder. Alright, let's grab the rest of the polishes here. Okay, so I only use 3 stamping polishes. I use Blackjack from Queen, though any black stamping polish will do. I used Cosmos from Maniology B433. I used Emerald City from Maniology, which is B514. Okay, for the non-stamping polishes, I use Sally Hansen's Sunshine Shimmers from their Insta-Dry collection, Pearl Treasure from their Insta-Dry collection. Both are from the Pride collection. I used Sally Hansen's Frost Comes Love. It's their Diamond Strength collection. I used this gold from Kiss, and it does not have a name. This is called Snake Rattle and Roll. This is the Essie color I used for Remy. And I used Essie's Minimalistic. I also used Beechin P117 from Maniology for the blueberries. Okay, so we're going to start with our angel wings. So I use these 2 right here. And I'm going to use my silicone tool to apply the powder inside of the mold. And I'm going to use the tip to help make sure that it's in all of the creases of the mold, so that way all parts are covered. You want to make sure you dig it in there real good, but also gently so you don't damage the mold. You're also going to want some kind of tool to pull out your carve gel with. I use a metal cuticle pusher. to remove it and apply it into the mold. So here you can see I'm kind of stretching it ever so gently to make sure that it goes in all of the crevices. I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit for you guys so it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. I've got it stretched out just a little bit, make sure it all goes in nicely. Dig it right into the mold, all of the little crevices. Make sure that all of the area is covered in the powder. Once you have your powder applied inside the mold, then you're going to want to add your carve gel, which we're almost at that stage. Just make sure this is thoroughly embedded into all of the crevices. Okay, looks like it is. Quickly clean off my silicone applicator so I don't make a mess of everything. Scotch tape or something like that is perfectly fine to clean it off without any problems. I'm just using my lint roller to clean it. Just rolling it around on my lint roller to clean off all of the iridescent powder. Okay, so I'm grabbing my white carve gel. And I'm going to grab my preferred tool to add it into the mold. This stuff is really thick. It's like clay. And I'm going to press it into the mold. And you want to make sure that you get it into all of the crevices, otherwise it's not going to come out right. Come on, off of the tool. Thank you. So it might take a moment of pressing into the mold, but you want to make sure that all of the spots are filled. You are also going to need a LED lamp, nail lamp, to cure your gels. Forgot to mention that, I apologize. It has been a rough few days since all this has happened, so I'm just going to keep pressing until I know that all of the areas have been filled. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to inspect and make sure that all of the mold has been filled. And looks like all of it has been filled, so I am going to go in on the other one and start filling it. Alternately, you can use white acrylic if you would prefer to use an acrylic monomer, the acrylic powder and monomer ratio to fill these molds, that works just fine too. You would have to work a lot faster. And you would have to be more careful when applying into the mold because, as stated, you want to make sure that everything is completely filled in. That's why I prefer to use things like carved gel, because then I can be sure that everything has been completely filled in properly before it is cured. Whereas when you're working with acrylic, it is curing as you're applying it. So it does take more finesse to work with than the carved gel. Like I said, you want to make sure it's pressed thoroughly into the mold because you will lose details if you do not. If it's still sinking in to the mold as you're pressing down, you have not filled in all the details. It has a lot of space that has to be filled in. You want to make sure it's pressed in nice and thoroughly. If you are working with acrylic, you won't be able to just put a giant bead in and start pressing. You will need to dab it in small amounts and force it into each and every detail with the brush as you go. And continually add to it. Whereas with the carved gel, you can put the bulk of the product already in there and just press down, like I am now, until all of the details are filled in. Okay, there's the tip of that wing. Make sure that everything is completely filled in. Smooth it out. Okay, so both wings appear to be completely filled in with product. So now we're going to cure this for 60 seconds in the lamp. If I stop messing with it long enough for it to do so. Okay, so while we are waiting on that, we are going to go ahead and get into the rest of the design here. So let's start with the index. So we're going to grab M564. I'm going to grab Cosmos. And this is the image we're going to be picking up. Okay, if I can get this open. Just going to swipe some polish on the top half, scrape, pick up with my stamper, clean off any excess imagery. Okay, so I'm going to line it up in the center and press down. And I am done with that plate. So now I am going to grab M557 and I'm going to pick up this lovely little rat image with blackjack. And we're going to do some reverse stamping with this one. And that is all I used that plate for. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in for you. And we're going to go ahead and fill in the details. So I'm going to grab my detail brush and I'm going to grab Snake, Rattle, and Roll, Minimalistic, Emerald City, and Sunshine Shimmers. So I'm going to start with Minimalistic. I'm going to fill in a little spot on the ear for the inside of the ear. Oh, I think that's right, I used blackjack to fill in the eye. His eyes were black, not pink. Now Clouds, his litter mate and brother that we have, is pink. Go ahead and dab the inside of the eye, a dot of black. So I'm going to grab Sunshine Shimmers to fill in the flower. Dot and glide it around the flower. Very gently so it does not mess up the image. Now I'm going to take Emerald City and fill in the foliage, the leaves and the stem. I'm going to start by carefully trying to fill in the stem. I'm going to carefully fill in the leaves. Now we're going to carefully color in the body. So my sweet boy Remy was 11 months old when he passed. He had been sickly pretty much his entire life, unfortunately. He just kept getting infection after infection. All the others have always been pretty healthy, aside from the random abscess. But he would get respiratory infections, abscesses. He even had bumblefoot, which is usually a sprain, but sometimes an infection. In his case, I think it was a sprain because he healed up just fine from that, but he had already started declining in weight despite no change in his diet or how much he was eating at that point. So we're pretty certain that whatever was going on with him had been going on since he was pretty little, because he just kept losing weight, and then eventually he wasn't able to eat, and he started declining rapidly. At that point, we had to hand feed him baby food there the last week and a half of his life, and he eventually just stopped eating and drinking altogether. There in that last few days, he had developed a respiratory infection, but he had been declining for about 2 months, more steadily than he had throughout his entire life. When he was about 3-4 months old when he got his first infection, and he would be off of antibiotics and fine for like a month at most, and then he would have another infection. So he was having chronic infections and other problems while all the others were just healthy as can be. So all of the symptoms and signs kind of pointed towards him having some underlying ailment, and everything just kind of seemed to point towards cancer. Okay, so once it is dry enough, we're going to apply inside of the frame. Like so. Excuse me. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to want M368, and we're going to pick up with blackjack or whatever black stain polishing you want to use. Forever in Our Hearts down here in this corner. I'm going to go ahead and grab this so we can start preparing for that part. Grabbing those out of the lamp. Okay, so we're going to take the Forever in Our Hearts, and we're going to grab the gold, and we're going to fill in the heart. It's a little more polished than I intended. Okay. And while we're waiting on that, we're going to pick up the outline of the blueberries with the black. aside for a moment. I'm going to grab Beechin from Maniology. And we're going to go ahead and fill in the blueberries and leave the leaves alone. We will use the layered stamp for the leaves. Okay, so the Forever in Our Hearts seems to be ready. So up in the top and the center, I'm going to stamp down the Forever in Our Hearts, like so. I'm going to grab MXM 151 and Emerald City, and I'm going to grab this layered part of the blueberry image. Pick up, clean up any excess imagery around the image, and then at an angle below the Forever in Our Hearts, I'm going to place down the layered stamp. So while I'm waiting on that to dry enough, I'm going to go ahead and take Blackjack and pick up the Heavenly Bridge with the heart. It's right here, off of M368. And prepare to start filling it. Sorry guys, did not mean to bump the camera. There's the image. I'm going to clean up around the edges to get the excess imagery. So the blueberries should be ready. So we're going to line it up carefully over the layered image and stamp down. Some of the leaf did not want to stay. There we go. Like so. So now we are going to take the Pet Cemetery plate. We're going to pick up the little ghost rat. We're going to use Blackjack. Oh, that did not pick up nicely. Let's try that again. Lost part of its ghost butt. Before he started getting really sickly, he had plenty of butt. He was a cute little portly rat. Oh, dang it. Took part of its tail that time. Try again. Maybe this time I won't take its tail in the cleanup process. Nope, still took the tail. I guess I'm gonna have to use Scotch tape. Because I keep bumping it. Third time's a charm, right? The excess imagery. Clean my plate, and then we can color in our stamps. So here are the stamps. So I'm going to start with Pearl Treasure, which is what I used to color in the Ghost Rat. And very carefully fill in the image. So now I'm going to grab the gold from Kiss and Frost Comes Love from Sally Hansen. And I'm going to fill in the clouds, the heart, and the bridge. So I'm going to start with Frost Comes Love to fill in the clouds. Alright, once you've filled in all of the clouds, we'll go in with the gold. And we're going to fill in bridge and the heart. Okay. This is what it's going to look like. Let's go ahead and back up. Okay, once this is dry enough to apply, we're going to apply it to the ring finger. So while we're waiting on that, I'm going to go ahead and pop these wings out of the mold. Oh yeah, turned out beautiful. Need to go in and trim the excess off the edges. These turned out beautifully. So I am going to take a pair of nippers and I'm going to just trim up the excess around the wings that do not belong, just right here. There we have our lovely angel wing. Once you've done trimming any that needs to be trimmed, they will be ready for application. Apparently for me to knock over my acetone. Alright, I'm going to get these excess bits off of there so they don't get caught in the mani. Alright, so this should be ready. So we're going to center this in the middle of the nail, press down. I'm going to take my cleanup brush and I'm going to pat down parts that are sticking up very gently. And then I'm going to take a piece of Scotch tape to clean up the excess image hanging off the nail. Then I'm going to line up my little ghost rat and the stairs in the center, like so. Now I'm going to clean up any excess that I was not able to get with the tape around the cuticles. All right. Now I'm going to add my rhinestone glue to the center of the flower on the index. I'm going to apply a layer of top coat. Let's get these stampers out of the way. Over top before curing, over top the entire nail. I'm going to get my rhinestone picker and grab one of these lovely yellow rhinestones and apply it in the center of the flower, like so. I'm going to apply my top coat to the other two nails, the middle and the ring finger. Making sure that the top coat sinks into any crevices from the raised parts of the stamps where it has been reverse stamped and thoroughly coats the nail. I will be doing 2 layers of top coat to ensure that all of the stamps are thoroughly sealed in. And that my rhinestone is thoroughly sealed in. So here we're going to need 30 seconds, not 60 seconds for the top coat. Go ahead and cure for 30 seconds. Side. Put my stampers away. Okay, so now I'm going to apply my second coat. To make sure everything is thoroughly sealed in. Nice and smooth. Okay, so the index is going to be a little bit trickier. You're going to want to go around the rhinestone. You do not want to go over top of the rhinestone. Because it'll lose its shine from the etched facets in it. And cure for 30 seconds. Excuse me. So this next part, we're going to be adding this lovely blue stars and our angel wings. These lovely angel wings right here that we just crafted. So I'm going to start with the pinky, so I don't have to take my ring off yet. And I'm going to apply a line of rhinestone glue, like so. See the lovely line. And I'm going to press the wing into this line of rhinestone glue. I'm going to squish it into there real good so that way it squishes out to the sides and is filling in all of the areas. I'm going to take my detail brush and I'm going to fill in any gaps. Within the wing in its application. Come on. Sit nicely. After I'm done doing that, I'm going to cure. You may need to add more, which it looks like I'm going to need to add more. To fill in some of those gaps. So I'm going to cure for 60 seconds. Make sure that this is thoroughly sealed. Oh, come on, open. There we go. Buy another tube of this stuff. This stuff's pretty dang good. So I do have some gaps that need to be filled in so it doesn't catch on clothes and hair and things like that. So I'm going to add rhinestone glue around the problem areas. I'm going to take my detail brush, make sure that all of these areas are thoroughly filled in. Here that I need to do another glob. Right there. bring it around the air bubbles. In case you're wondering, I am popping an air bubble that was in there. And bring it around the wing. To secure it in place. Cure for 60 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in and show you what I was talking about. See how all of those gaps are filled in right here. That would normally cause catching if you did not thoroughly fill in all of those gaps. So you want to make sure that they are completely filled in, like so. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with top coat around the wing and the rest of the nail. This part's going to take quite a few coats of top coat to seal in everything because these sequins tend to like to stick up. Sorry guys, to clean up the gel off the side there. So I am going to take a dab of gel on my detail brush and I'm going to pick up one of the larger star sequins and place it up here at the top. And I'm going to take one of the smaller, get my brush on the smaller ones, and I'm going to put it down here at the bottom. Like so. And then I'm going to cure for 30 seconds. Okay. Alright, we're going to want to do another, really, they just don't want to leave me alone, do they? Okay, another layer of top coat to help secure these little stars in. Persistent, aren't they? And it's funny because they always say potential spam because it's always the same thing. Alright, and clean up any that got on the skin. Clean that off. So we do not want to cure gel onto skin. Okay. Go ahead and pop in the lamp for another 30 seconds. Alright, so now on to the thumb. Go ahead and take my rings off so I don't scratch up my lamp. Oh, just accidentally drizzled some glue. Okay, so now we're going to put a line of the rhinestone glue. Going to apply the wing. Make sure I don't have gel on my hand. Make sure it's thoroughly pressed in. Okay, so this one's got less issues than the other one. Going to rotate this around it, make sure that we fill in any problem areas. Going to apply some of this before even curing because it's got so close to the right amount. Seal this in nicely. So make sure there's no catchy spots. Okay, now that we know there's no catchy spots, go ahead and pop that in the lamp. 60 seconds. Clean my brush here. Yeah, I'm running low on acetone on my dish. Okay. So now we're going to take and apply top coat around. The wing. And the rest of the nail. Making sure to clean up any that gets on the skin. Going to dab my brush ever so gently in the top coat where it's just a tiny little bead. And I'm going to grab my star sequins. Go ahead and grab a larger one. A smaller one. And mid-size. And place them around the wing. Like so. And cure for 30 seconds. If I can get my thumb in there properly. Okay, so now we're going to apply another layer of top coat. You may need to do roughly 3 to keep the edges from poking through. This one looks like it may need 3. Okay, Do one last coat. Make sure this is thoroughly sealed in. And not poking out. Clean up anything got on the skin. And cure for 30 seconds, not 60 seconds. Okay, it appears that everything is thoroughly encased. Sorry, I had to get a close-up inspection to make sure that all of the sequins were thoroughly encased within the gel and that they were not going to get snagged on anything and ripped up and all that. The only one that that one should be fine. It's the only one I was concerned about. So that is how I created this memorial mani for my sweet Remy baby. So I will quickly grab the binder that has the plates that can be used to substitute for other animals. Obviously, is the plate that I used to do the rat has lots of other animals that are oddball animals, but for ones that are your typical cats and dogs, this is the binder. No, it's my plants, not the animals. Okay, so there are lots of different ones for cats and dogs. Let's see. Okay, so here's a good one for dogs right here, M328, and it has layered images. It has lots of different breeds. So this is a great one to use for dogs. And of course, it has other things like dog bowls and things like that. And there are, let me find, okay, so MXM128 and MXM127 is also another great one for cats and dogs. It has many different breeds and different images of stuff that they like. And that is the cat one. Here is the dog one. And somewhere in the depths of this binder that's no longer organized. Was organized once upon a time, guys. I promise it was. And here's another good one for cats. It's M405. It has different types of cats on it. I don't think I have any more for dogs. Does not look like it. So those are good ones for dogs and cats. The plate that I used for the rat has lots of different animals. It has hedgehog. In fact, I know somebody owns a hedgehog. Birds, rabbits. Here's a turtle, frog, goose, chicken. There's a lamb. So this one has like all of your not atypical, in fact there's a squirrel, like your atypical pets. A raccoon, which isn't something people normally have as a pet, though I do know somebody who has one. And of course the rat, and this one over here with the mushroom is a mouse. So those are good plates to use in memorial of a pet. There is a farm animal plate, but I don't have it, unfortunately. But there's a farm animal plate that you could use if your beloved pet's a farm animal, say a cow, pig. And of course, like I said, on this pet cemetery, it does have things like the rabbit, cat, dog, pig. In fact, there's 2 different cat ghosts on it. One's a long hair, one's a short hair. If you don't already have the pet cemetery plate, be warned that the pet cemetery plates, the set, is about $300 for the 2 of them. So you're looking at like $150 a plate. It may even be more than that. I haven't looked at it in over a year. And when I got them, it cost me $300 because they are one of the Manny Me box plates that was sold out years ago. So if you're wanting to do the ghost part like I did, for your beloved pet, understand that if you don't already have those plates, you may be shelling out a pretty penny for them. Just as a heads up. So the others are still available and are affordable. That's the only one I use that's not an affordable plate. And not entirely necessary to do a memorial Manny. However, I happen to have it thanks to my husband, and I wanted to use it to memorialize our sweet boy, who is, I feel like, was lost too soon, but unfortunately that's a common problem with feeders, is they die really young, and he was a feeder, not a breeder. And for that distinction is he was bred to be fed to snakes, essentially. But we got him for the purposes of being a part of our family, him and Cloud both. Breeders, the terminology for that is rats that were bred for longevity. They were bred for the best genes possible, the best genetics possible for the longest, healthiest life. And all of our other rats are breeders. They're not feeders. Thankfully, Cloud is still healthy, and I don't know how many more months to years we will have, but it's 2 to 5 years is the average for rats. So they already have a very short lifespan, and we only got not quite a year from Remy, unfortunately. So I hope that this was helpful for anybody who has recently lost a pet and wants to do something to memorialize their sweet fur baby. We really do love all of our animals and our children deeply, and our animals are our children to us. And losing him so soon has been pretty heartbreaking. In fact, it's hard not to cry now even. But I think I cried for 2 days straight. It hasn't even been that long. He passed away last Thursday, and I'm recording this on Monday, so it's really hard. So, for those of you who are struggling and want some way to memorialize your fur babies, this is a good way. And like I said, the blueberries was just specifically to Remy, but you can put whatever your pet's favorite thing was underneath, or just the forever in your hearts, or one of the other lovely sayings that are here, like always loved, never forgotten, forever missed. in loving memory, rest in love, any of those, or like the run free, any of those are just perfectly fine, whatever your preference is. Like I said, this is just kind of like a template to give ideas on how to create something to help you during your grieving process. And my sweet boy absolutely loved blueberries. If you came anywhere near the cage with blueberries, he would go crazy. He would be scampering around the entire cage trying to find where he can get them. So, as I hope that this is helpful, and I hope you guys are having a good morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever it may be while you're watching this video. And until next time, guys, thank you for watching. Bye.